my wife and I were going to have a daughter. I remember being at the doctor's office in the ultrasound room. If you've ever been in that room, it's dark so the tech can see the screen well, and it's always super quiet. And she told us for the first time, you're going to have a girl. And my wife just was crying a little bit, and I was excited to have a daughter. And then I noticed the tech kind of hovering in one area as she was doing this ultrasound. And I asked the tech, I said, is that her foot? It was kind of a question because it didn't look like a foot. And she said, mm-hmm. I said, well, it looks like she has a thumb. And the tech agreed. And then as she moved around, we got up to one of the hands, and one of her hands had an extra finger. I counted him multiple times. I said, does she have 6 fingers on that hand? And again, the tech agreed, and the other hand, same thing. So the room changed. It went from being elated that we were going to have a little girl to some confusion, some concern. And I remember that's when I heard this term for the first time, a term that I know very well now. The text said, looks like your daughter has polydactyly. My wife and I had gotten back from a great 2-week mission trip in Thailand, and Tammy's jet lag just wouldn't go away. And we thought for sure she had picked up something while we were in Thailand, some disease or parasite or something. We didn't know, but we knew that something was wrong. And so we set up a doctor's appointment. And I remember a couple of days before the doctor's appointment, my wife came in early in the morning and she said, we're pregnant. Now we have 3 boys, 10, 6, and 5. They're amazing. Tammy and I are both in our late 30s, and we were done with kids. Tammy had always said she felt like we should have 4, and I was pretty content with 3. But apparently God took Tammy's side on this one. We were going to have a 4th. After the tech finished the ultrasound, she had us wait for the doctor so the doctor could explain to us more about polydactyly. And I mean, as soon as we got alone, we both pulled out our phones, and I didn't even know how to spell polydactyly, but I figured it out quickly, and I'm Googling around as fast as I can, trying to find out everything possible about polydactyly. And I discovered right away that there are a number of things that can cause it, and some of them are super severe. They're so severe, in fact, that your child won't live more than a day or 2 once they're born. When the doctor finally came in, she was very positive and smiled and sat down, and congrats on a daughter, she said. She knew we had 3 boys. She did a really great job of explaining things to us. And I asked these questions, because the doctor had just watched the video of the ultrasound. And so I said, did you see a cleft palate? And you see the shortened leg? And I'm asking her all these things. And she's like, no, I looked. And I'll be honest with you, even though she told us like, hey, I've checked it all out, I don't see any markers for anything else, didn't help. We had a big decision to make. The question was, do we want to do a bunch of tests to maybe get a better look at what's causing the polydactyly? The problem was, all the tests that they do, they just give you information. They don't change anything. So even if we find out that she has trisomy or something like that, they can't fix it. And Tammy and I had already kind of crossed the bridge that no matter what, we're going to have this kid. I mean, even if I just get to love on her for 2 days, I will love my daughter greatly for 2 days and be thankful for the 2 days that I get to hold her and be with my daughter. I got a hold of a doctor that's part of my wife's family and somebody we trust, and I was talking to him on the phone and explaining to him what's going on, and And he was really great. I mean, really great. It's just a timely word. A Christian guy at the right time just said, Dusty, my experience is this. He goes, there's two things. He goes, most of the time, she will never even know that she was born like this. He says she'll have that surgery when she's 2 or 3, and she'll never even remember having the extra fingers and the extra toes. The second thing he said is, the other funny thing is parents, they don't remember either. Like, she'll grow up healthy and normal and everything will be fine. And you won't even remember. We were getting close to the baby being here and we hadn't done any tests. We didn't know anything new. We were still just waiting for that moment whenever she shows up and things are great or things are horrible we didn't know. And I got up one Sunday to preach and I just said this. I said, I was made to serve God, not the other way around. And here in America, we've almost created this superhero God that's supposed to show up at the last minute and save the day and fix our problems. And if that's the God that you've created, the problem is when he doesn't show up, we feel abandoned and we feel like, well, maybe there is no God and maybe God doesn't love me. But I share with our people, I said, the truth is, God wasn't created to serve me. I was created to serve God. So the day comes and middle of the night, just like every movie you've seen, we go into labor. And this is our 4th one, so we know how long to wait and all that stuff. So we finally got in the van. We headed over to the hospital, and they had a lot of people there. They didn't ever say this, but I assume it was because they knew the challenges that might be there when the baby is born. So there was a couple of nurses specifically for the baby, and then there was 2 doctors in the room and another nurse that was there to help Tammy, and an anesthesiologist was in and out. Anyway, just a lot of people. I remember this moment in between contractions when I was thinking, like, this is it. Like, this is the moment where I find out if my daughter's going to be completely healthy or if the countdown starts and I get a couple of days with her. Because we had no idea. And when she first came out, she was face down. And I couldn't see her. Because if I could see her, I could tell so much. So another couple of pushes and etc. And finally she was out. And I remember the doctor taking her, and they kind of prepped Tammy for this. Like, would you like to have her as soon as she was born? And we said yes. And so as soon as she was born, she came out and she set her up on Tammy's chest, and I finally got to see her. And her face was right, her lips were right, and her legs were the right length, which normally wouldn't be a big deal, but in this case, her thigh bone was so important to me that I could see her thigh bone and know that it was the right length. And everything looked healthy. And they took her and they weighed her, and she weighed 10.5 pounds. And the nurses kind of one by one began to clean her up and then kind of leave the room. And I remember kneeling down on the floor there next to the bed, and I think somebody else had my daughter, and I just kind of took Tammy's hand, and I was just crying. I was just so relieved and excited. And I mean it when I say if my daughter had special needs or whatever, I would probably be just as thankful, because God is such a good God. But in this moment, as I was praying and just seeking Him, I remember this feeling like, God is still on His throne, and I'm still here to serve Him. But on this day and at this time, I felt like my King, my King had come down, taken care of one of His sons. Sometimes I see her eyes light up when she catches a look with her mom or with one of her brothers. And sometimes you can't help but notice these crazy extra fingers that she won't have much longer. I remember what that doctor said, that she'll never even know that she had them. She'll never remember. But I know this to be true, that we will never forget.